Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are talking about designer shoes that are no longer in style. Now, some of these obviously, yes, are my opinion, and I do obviously too want to disclaim and caveat to say that we don't need to follow trends. If you still love something, you should still rock it, and I am not even a person who particularly likes to engage in trends in the first place. I like to wear what I find appealing and comfortable and works within my lifestyle and aesthetic. So trends are kind of irrelevant to me. However, we do kind of like to be aware of what is happening in fashion, what the trends are. Here's some that I think have fallen out of favor in the last year or two. Okay, so first up, I'm coming for the Valentino Rockstuds. You guys, they were great. And I think that we have done it. I think that we've done the Valentino Rockstud every which way. I think that we've worn it out, and I think that it is time to move on collectively as a designer-loving society. Now I get it, people say that they're credited with being super comfortable, and I definitely want to acknowledge that. The heel isn't super high, and for a lot of people who maybe aren't into heels so much anymore, this one can be like a way to wear one. The strappiness and the pointed toe and the studs and all the thing, those shoes have been out since 2010. They had a long run, and I think that's great. Shoes very rarely ever make it beyond a decade. But here's an example of maybe that they shouldn't make it much further than this. Like, we get it. I will say, for a more updated look, for a more classic and less like trendy look, I do really like the sandal versions. I think those, while they do tend to look a little bit more gladiator-y, lack of a better word, I think that the sandals just kind of convey a different look. So those I think are still fine, but the classic Valentino slingback, rockstud, pointed toe, patent leather, everyone had them. I think we can move on from that. The YSL Tribute. First of all, I think platforms have, and I take no comfort or joy in saying this, but I think platforms at the moment we have moved on from. Well, everyone else has. I still wear mine personally. The tribute style, I think, is done. Well, once again, this was one that was notorious for being super comfortable. I had two pairs back in the day. I did find them comfortable, but what I will say is that the pairs that I had, for some reason, I didn't feel very like stable in them. Like, if you look, the heel kind of like caved in slightly, and it almost felt like you were gonna fall back if you stepped wrong. The little middle piece of the actual sole would kind of wear down over time, and yeah, there was that. But also too, just the style, I just really find it now to be a little bit dated. They did make the lower heel version, which is the, I want to call it, say it's like an 80 millimeter, but those, I think the lines were wrong. The higher one is definitely the one to go with if you must, but also they don't really work with the current trends. And that's the thing about trends. Like, as much as I don't want to necessarily participate in certain shoe trends, I do find that when I wear the shoes that I wore from like 5 and 6 and plus years ago, they don't tend to go with the lines and aesthetics necessarily of the clothing that is more current. So you do have to make somewhat of a shift in order to have your look kind of make sense, because otherwise then you're just doing a lot of nothing good. The YSL Tributes, I think they're over. The Gucci Princetowns. The Gucci Princetowns are one that I personally never liked. I continue to think that they looked like house slippers, and not sorry. They were super popular. I think they sort of really gained popularity, I would say, in the 2016, 2017 range. But I think they're done with. I think that everyone who got a pair has their pair, and they're another one that wear down immediately. There's certain shoes, like designer shoes at least, that will like look like they're 100 years old after like 3 or 4 wears, and ultimately they're not flattering, and they never were. Like, they weren't intended to be. I don't think that anyone who bought them actually thought that they were like good looking, and I have a problem with that. So when it comes time to like want to add them to the resale market, your pair that maybe you never wore, they're not so popular anymore. They're pretty much over. Another one from Gucci that was everywhere. These are the Ace sneakers. First of all, there were a lot of these on the resale market because their sizing was so completely off. I don't know why this was never corrected over the years because it remains to this day. They are legitimately 2 sizes off. I wear a US 9. That's typically a size 40 European or sometimes 39.5. Typically I wear a size 40, and you know, when I try them on, I can get into a 36.5. That is one reason why I think a lot of people, you know, bought their size and ended up not being able to return them. I definitely think that was a factor. And then also, I just find that for designer sneakers, I think like I got personally a little bit bored of them, like seeing them around. That's something that happens to me when I see something out too much. I kind of like don't like it anymore because I am the hipster of luxury or something. I don't know. I just, for whatever reason, this is another one that I think they got super saturated. A whole bunch of people bought them and now they have them. So we're done here. I think we're done here. However, I do want to caveat that to say the platform ones, I think those are cool. Those are cool. This is one I take no joy in admitting to myself and to you guys out loud. Christian Louboutins. I think these, what can I say that hasn't been said already? These have been definitely on a downward trajectory for a while now. I still love mine. I haven't really had anywhere to wear them, and that definitely is a factor, except that they've been on the downward trajectory for a couple of years now, like pre, you know, pandemic, shutdown, quarantine, etc. So I don't know, I think that the red sole, like while people do still, like it is still very recognizable, people still know what it is when they see it, it's just not as like attractive, I think that there was an element of, how do I say this politely? There was an element of like aspiration towards the red bottom heel, and that was like 10 years ago. They're definitely something you can spot from across the street, but I think that they honestly, I love these and I find these really comfortable. These are the old model of the Pigalle. I've talked about these before. These were from like maybe 2013 or whatever, but 2013 is almost 10 years ago. It's very rare that a shoe, or a shoe brand for that matter, really makes it past the decade mark, and I think that we have exited this era. Now you see what they were trying to make, you do see what they're trying to make now, and it's a lot more sneakers, a lot more like low heel and block heels, but that's just sort of not what you think of when you think of Christian Louboutin shoes, in my opinion. For me, with the signature red sole, you want to be able to see it. Like I always thought that the Louboutin wedges were kind of just like a waste, personally, even though the cat clothes were like very, very popular for a while. I don't know. I think that the red sole, as much as I love these, I think it looks a little bit dated, especially for those of us who don't really wear red. It kind of comes out of nowhere, and like this red sole association, like it's just not so cool and hip anymore. I feel like we've done it and it's been done, and while I will still find a place or an excuse to wear these for sure, because I think they look great on me personally, you know, I just think I will recognize that I'm not necessarily on the cutting edge of fashion with my red bottom heel anymore, unfortunately. Oh wait, and that's okay. The next shoe that I think is done with, are the Chanel ballerina flats. These are, I just think ballerina flats as a whole are not particularly flattering. I don't think I'm breaking any news with this. They make your foot look kind of stumpy, in my opinion. Especially the Chanel ones can run really narrow. I find that they're not very comfortable, and also it's just not a good look, not a good fit on most people. I think that they kind of like just I've never been a huge fan of the ballet flat, even 15 years ago when the concept started gaining traction, I guess. But I don't know, I just feel like they look, am I allowed to say old lady?
Hi, so I want to interject here and say that, quote, old lady is not the word that I want to use to convey the message that I am trying to send. So I actually don't think that that is a positive or polite way to talk about the shoes that I am talking about. I'm someone that believes that words and language matter, and that we don't have to be nasty to express opinions, even if those opinions are negative. But rather than attribute that to age, I'll say that they look to me a bit dowdy and frumpy. I think that they cut off the line of your leg as opposed to elongating it, which is usually what we want and how we regard things as flattering. I think that for a more updated version of the Chanel Ballet flat, definitely consider the slingback with the block heel. I think those are much more flattering.
Those are still going strong. Those still seem to have a really good toe hold, if you'll excuse the pun, in a lot of people's wardrobes. But the ballet flat, I think they're kind of tired. I think they're kind of over. I don't think that they go with the new aesthetics and the new the current contemporary aesthetics and lines and silhouettes. Even though unflattering, clunky shoes are the thing now, inexplicably, these just aren't it anymore. This one, I really might pour myself a glass of champagne because I am so glad to see that these are over. The Balenciaga Triple S, these were, you know what, these were the worst shoes I think ever designed. They have to be up there as one of the worst shoes ever designed by designers, meant to be taken seriously and purchased by people in a market. I stand by that. I never liked them. I thought they were horrible, and I was not wrong. I am so happy to announce that they are over. They're over. I do still see people wearing them, especially at the airport for whatever reason, but they are not popular. There isn't a whole bunch of calls for the Balenciaga Triple S. They're over, they're done with, and we can drink champagne now because we're getting that much closer to never having to see them again. The YSL Opium. These actually are a little bit complicated because YSL is one of those brands that people definitely love to wear that logo. That YSL lettering looks super elegant for some reason, to me especially. And the Opium shoe looks amazing. It looks really statement making. You can kind of, that's one of those that it's architectural. You can see it from across the street. It's oh, those are the YSL shoes. However, I have heard everyone who has ever owned these shoes says that they are the most uncomfortable shoe on the planet. I think that it's one that people sell a lot because they're so miserable to wear, but there are still people that buy them. However, after they buy them, they come back and sell them. So they end up on the resale market a lot, in my opinion. The writing is on the wall. We're only going to be in awe of the YSL logo heel for, I would say not that much longer. So these, while they're not completely over yet, they're teetering on it. Just like people are teetering on that heel. So those are the shoes that are no longer in style. I know I owned some of them. Did you own any of these? Do you own any of these? Are you still wearing them? Do you care about shoe trends? Because I don't. In spite of all of this, I don't really care about being trendy. So if any of these on the list are some that you like, then I think that you should continue to rock them with pride and confidence. And because it is so important to love the things in your wardrobe, and you should not let anyone, very least a random stranger inside of a computer screen, be telling you what you should and should not wear. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want to see an update of what shoes there is a lot of demand for that are actually really popular on the ground, then stay tuned for my next one, because maybe, you know what, we're going to delve into that. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!